This one's available. Are we gonna have fun?
You can move the chair if you need to, we can put it in the corner. Where you gonna sit?
You're good, you're clear. Go around.
This session gets full, and if it's coming up again, so you don't want to catch another session and come back. I think we have enough time. Set up. Like you said, three to right here. Okay, let's see. This looks like a little bit here. Yeah. Found the seat, one of the seats over there. Okay. All right, we only have. About 2 more seats, 3 maybe? Well, I anyone sit next to you? So here's the chair. Okay, this is Becky said to stay for a seat. And there's one here. Anyone sitting in these 2 chairs here? Anyone sitting in these 2 chairs? Yeah, they got first. Oh, okay. Excuse me, if you have a vacant chair next to you, can you raise your hand? Right here? No, one. Taking both of them? All right. What about this one? Taken. There's one over there. There's one right here. It's 2 right here too. Okay. So we have one right here. 2 or 1 right here. Yeah, and then after that, the section. This. Which one? This one? Oh, okay. You can go to this one at the first one. Yeah. Alright. This one is, I think it's full. We have one more chair. Yeah, we got one more chair. This is, good afternoon, everybody. Sessions don't typically start till 1:30. So if you want to get some water, your seat is secure. Real quick, that's fine. Just a little overview of what we're going to do. I know a lot of y'all have a lot of questions. Olivia is going to go over contracts very quick. Then I will go into budget because budget and contracts kind of go hand in hand. She's going to go first. If you have any council specific questions after the second breakout session at 4 o'clock, myself, as well as the auditor, will be in this room to do a little one-on-one assistance if you have any council specific questions. So, about 15 minutes before we get started. So, just relax a little bit and we'll get started. Ms. Laura is going to pass around index cards. If I cover anything that you have a question about, that maybe I may go research a little bit more because the things are changing and stuff, you can write those questions on the index card, and then we will go back to the agency and then answer your question via email, phone call, however. So those are what those index cards will be for. No, I'm a few, no, this, no one is sitting here. There's one seat right here. Is that, are those two seats over there?
They're nice.
I think they're
Those
all
are
there.
taken, are these seats taken right here? Okay, okay. All those are taken? Okay, there's a seat right here. There's a seat there. Yeah, that's those seats. This one's not right here. I'm not like, if we laugh, yes. What happened was, yeah. Yeah, before.
It's recording already.
Forty-nine.
Right, it's, 1:40. Anybody like, to go plate, food before they take it back to the kitchen? No, no. Alright, that's all I need.
Good afternoon, everybody. Come on, we got Stacy. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I just want to, as we're getting ready to begin our session, I just want to say again, say thank you to each one of you who work with, at the Council on Aging, whatever you do, whether it's with the seniors face to face in the finance office, if you, just pick up a piece of paper off the floor, whatever you do for the Council on Aging. I just want to say thank you for what you do because you help us to be able to take care of our seniors. And at this time, we're gonna have, Olivia Dinwiddie is gonna come and she's gonna go over the contract process, just to run through some of the things that you need to know when you're submitting. Once you get your contract, what you need to do, and then Ebony is gonna come. And as she said, if you have questions, you can jot them down on the cards, and what we're gonna try to do, if we don't get a chance to answer your questions here in the session, we're gonna put together a frequently asked questions, thing, and a list of questions that maybe need to be answered or ask for others as well, and we'll put them all together and then send that information out to you, okay? So again, thanks to everybody, and at this moment, let's receive Olivia Dinwiddie.
Hello. Okay, can everybody hear me? Everybody see me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Olivia Dinwiddie. I'm about to knock down the projector. I do your contracts. At this point, as some of you all have either talked to me on the phone or you have received an email from me. So we're gonna go over the contract process as a whole. We have a lot of new directors this year. We have a lot of seasoned directors, and you guys just send stuff in, it's no problem. So today we're just gonna pinpoint a few things that we need to be reminded of, and a few changes, with one particular contract that we have. So we'll go ahead and get started. And like I said, we're gonna get started. Okay. So one thing to remember, by the time you get your contract, this isn't even all of the steps. There's a lot of pre-work that goes into the creation of your contract. So when your contract is sent to you, there's steps that has to go through in order for you to receive your funds. So the first thing is I'm going to send out the contract to you. For some of you all, you've received the contract and said, that's not the right email, we'll take it back, we'll change it, we'll send it back out. From there, you guys will sign them and return them to me. Then they go through an internal approval process. So first it goes to Ms. Shirley, and then it goes through OEA approvals within our agency. We do send our contracts out to OSP, which is Office of State Procurement. They have guidelines in addition to the guidelines that we already have. So if I get in touch with you and I let you know, hey, your contract is being sent back for A, B, C, or D, it's usually because of the guidelines that are put upon GOEA as a state agency. So once it goes through and it's approved by OSP, then we go ahead and we do the purchase orders for you all to actually receive your funds. That purchase order also has to be approved. That will take 2 to 3 days, depending on logistics, and then your funds can be released. So when you're getting your contracts and you're seeing in your emails that there's a due date, it is really important that we try and stick to those due dates as best as possible. And we'll get to that in a few more moments. All right. There we go. All right, so just general contract information. A lot of you all will have your schedule of funding that'll go through. That's gonna allow you to just kind of maneuver money and move money from line item to line item. Ebony is gonna get into that a little bit more. So just be mindful of that. That is just another step in your process. That is not an end all be all. This thing is not working with me today. This is our new, updated information. So for those of you who have MIPA contracts, you do know MIPA is a voluntary contract. We are putting a time frame on those contracts of 30 days. So a lot of you all, for those of you all, just raise your hand if you got a MIPA amendment from me last Monday. So you know that the amendment was due on the 15th. If you didn't get it to me, I'm gonna be sending out some more information when we get back into the office. We'll work with you all to get those in. So just be mindful of that. Also, I do wanna make sure that you understand when you get your, allocation of service units, that'll list all of the information. You'll get that from Sherry. She is your program monitor. And if for any reason after the 30 days is up or we're nearing the 30 days and you get an email from Sherry, you're overdue. She's trying to get that information from you guys signed so that we can go ahead and get those contracts rolling. Okay. I don't know why it's like it decides where it wants to go. Board resolutions. They are a necessary evil. I do not like board resolutions, but we have to do them. This is something else that is required by OSP. So your board resolution is good for 2 years. We want to make sure that we're not including unnecessary information within the board resolutions, which would mean that I cannot use them for 2 years, which in turn gives you guys more work to do, which we don't want to do. So let's try and refrain from including information such as the contract name. So if you are turning in your PCOA, don't put that this is a board resolution for your PCOA contract. That limits whatever contract you can use it for. If you have PCOA, MIPA, Title III, I can only use that board resolution for your PCOA. So then you have to go back to your board, get another resolution signed, and we have to do it all over again. Again, that's double working, you guys. That's not our intent. So just some examples. If you look here at the first one, it has a specific amount. So it'll say PCOA for this fiscal year for this amount. I can only use it for that contract. We don't wanna do that. We don't wanna put specific dates either. Again, that limits you how long you can utilize that board resolution. For those of you all, for example, who had board meetings in 2023, I will be able to use that board resolution this year and next year, if you didn't include information like this. If you did, then we'll have to get another one. Your signature page, if you can remember, any contract that you receive will have the first 6 pages that are standard. It doesn't change depending on what contract it is. Your 6th page is your signature page. So up here, you'll have Miss Shirley's signature. Try not to block people. You'll have Shirley's signature up here, and she'll print and sign, and then there's an opportunity for a witness. Our witness signature for GOEA is going to be your program manager. So when you get your executed contracts, I know we've gotten a lot of questions about that. When you get your executed contracts, it'll have your program manager's name there. You only need one signature for your witness, sign and print. And then, of course, you can put your tax ID number there as well.
For one witness instead of two.
Yeah, you only need one. And this is just outlining, that information there. And then communication. You guys do a lot, we do a lot at GOEA, so we wanna make sure that we're communicating effectively with you guys. And we need that as well. You guys receive, some of your councils receive multiple contracts, and so it can be very, very hard to make sure that we're keeping everything separate, organized, and doing it efficiently. For that reason, I would ask that if you have a contract or a contract amendment, that you only send it to me. Don't send it to your monitor or your, auditor, just send it straight to me. Because a lot of times they have their own list of things to do and it'll get lost. And I'll be looking for it. I have sent you guys emails before saying, hey, I didn't get your contract, and you're like, oh, I sent it to so-and-so. It just muddies the water. So let's just send it directly to me. In the event that you do that and it gets lost, when we have issues with delayed funding, a lot of times it's because we're not adhering to our deadlines, and so it pushes the contract approval process back. If you foresee that your contract is gonna be late on a deadline that was already provided, just let me know. Call me, send me an email, let me know, okay, this is going on, I'm not gonna be able to get the contract signed. I had a couple conversations last week with councils, that thought they needed a new board resolution. They didn't. Sign the amendment, we're good to go. So if you feel like you're gonna miss that deadline, just communicate that with me. And we can go ahead and start working to, get you guys on track. Then just a few general housekeeping. This year we kind of had an uptick with, councils that were out of compliance with the Secretary of State. So at the beginning of the year, I would encourage, just make sure that you are doing your annual report and filing that with the Secretary of State. If you are not in good standing, OSP will not approve your contract, which delays your funds. Money makes the world go around, so we wanna make sure that those funds are going out as soon as possible, as routinely as possible. Please bear in mind that contract, you have an entire process. Again, please try to adhere to deadlines. The third point is really important. Our fiscal year, as you know, ends June 30, and a new one starts July 1. If you were to send your contract in on June 30, I can't enter it, I can't try and get it to be reviewed or anything of that nature. We are absolutely shut out of our state system for about a week. So we can't review or anything. So if it's sent after the 30th, we're locked out. So just bear that in mind. If there is an emergency or something in that nature that requires you to send it in late, just know we're not gonna be able to I won't be able to give you a status update for about 7 to 10 days. When you're returning your signed contracts, make sure you're returning the full contract. I've had just signature pages returned. And for those of you who have multiple contracts, that makes it kind of hard to figure out, like, where did these go? What contract is actually actually sign. I don't wanna say that you guys signed a contract that you didn't, that you did not have the opportunity to. So just make sure you send in the contract in its entirety back. And then, I think that's a bit about it. We already talked about, the witness's signature for GOEA is gonna be your program monitor or your manager. Your confirmation of your contract being approved, done, will come from me. So somewhere, I think the majority of you all have already received your email. You have multiple contracts attached to one email, and I'll let you know that those are your fully executed contracts for fiscal 2024. That is when you know you're good to go, you're done. If you have any contract questions, in regards to how much, what were the dates, or anything like that, if you lose a copy of your contract, you can contact me with that as well. Did anybody have any questions?
How long does it take for us to get the contract back signed?
From like fully executed, it just depends with it's just that's kind of like an administrative task. So once we get everything done and that we close out the fiscal year, then we'll go ahead and send those out. I think this year I tried to get them out probably the second to third week of July.
Sometimes we don't get them back.
Okay. What you can do is if you do not, for any reason, because I know this year we had a lot of people having issues with emails. We at the state had some problems with our emails where they weren't going out, we couldn't get to them. So in the event that that happens and you find that you don't have one, just send me an email and specify which contracts you need, or if you need all of them for that particular year, just send me an email and I'll respond, and we can just drop them right into the email for you. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Olivia.
You said when you feel like it's an agency contract, it's in between the 30th and the 10th. Is there a date before that that's feel like a more acceptable date to send it so that you don't run into that?
Yes, so when you get your contract, I will put a due date in that email. I send all contracts via email, and I usually will let you know, like, hey, this contract is due by this day. You'll also, if you are 2-3 weeks away from a due date, or past the due date, I will reach out and send an email saying, hey, I haven't received your email or your contract. But I do know sometimes we have complications, and so they're like coming in 2 wheels hot, and if they're sent on the 30th, like the state shuts us down. So I will retain a copy of your contract and send it out as soon as we can get back into the system. No problem.
All my clear contracts. All right, we're gonna move on to budget again. I am. Oh, did everyone sign the sign-in sheet?
No.
While that's being passed around, I am Ebony Green. I am the audit supervisor for the Governor's Office of Government Affairs. Just in case you missed the staff, there's Program Auditor Crystal Bob, Program Auditor Robin Peru, and Program Auditor Denise White. Denise is new, and she has, blended in right on with very well. I'm not gonna use this little thing because, it ain't letting me break, so. So, with your budget, you have your funding sources, your Title III funds, your NSIP, ombudsman, Title V, NCPA, which is new, ARP, which is new as well. Your state funds, your PCOA, supplemental senior center 1 and 2, as well as your regular senior center, state funds, delivery meals, and senior RX. And then you also have your general local funds, there's your donations, your grants and everything that you get outside of our agency. In the inner. Oh, I want to chair. All right. Okay, so Your Title III schedule of funding, your GOEA contract, your amount of local funds that you know you're gonna have, as well as expenditure, that you will have within your household. So kind of have all those things as you're getting ready to prepare your budget. The important dates to remember, your schedule of funding is due 1 month after the date that you were issued that schedule of funding. That normally comes from Ms. Laura, and then you will review, sign, make any of your allowable transfers, and send those back to your assigned program auditor, who is normally CC'd in the email, just in case you forget. They're normally CC'd in the email they sent from Ms. Laura. Dates to remember, original budgets are due June 1st. Revised budgets are due April 30th. Try your best to have those to us on time. If anything happens, sometimes things come up, life happens, it's quick, it comes and goes. Let us know ahead of time. We are willing to work for certain extenuating circumstances on any extension. Also, keep in mind too, that if you are running into an issue, you're new, you had instances where, financial people quit, took everything with them. So I don't even know how to start with the vegan budget. You can always reach out to your program auditor, who will then relay the message to me, and we will devise a plan to get it to where you can get it to us, in a manner, in a timely manner. So with your schedule of funding, we are off the COVID protocol where you was able to move your money anywhere and everywhere how you felt like you was able to do it. We are back on the regular, meaning that you can only transfer up to 30% of the funds between Title 3B and Title 3C. That's 30% between Title 3B and Title 3C. And then 40%, you can transfer 40% up to 40% of funds between Title 3C1 and 3C2. You cannot move anything between D, between E, none of that. Only what's on here is what you're allowed to show as far as transfers between your Title 3 funding or these transfers. You also have your state home delivery meals. They must be transferred to Title 3C2. State homemaker and state transportation must be transferred to Title 3B. Everybody clear with that? So when preparing your budget again, you will need to have your schedule of funding with you, in handy. Your schedule of funding, there's a photocopy of it for those who don't know. These amounts right here will show your contract, well, your title, your amount, state transportation, state meals. I'm sorry, it's not showing up on here. This box right here is where you will show your transfer. When you pass this back to your auditor, they review that to make sure you are in compliance of that 30% between 3B and 3C, and that 40% between C1 and C2. And then make sure that you have your proper allocation of your state meals. We do check that against the amount at the top. And then sign date, turn it back in. All right, preparing the budget. So, operating transfers. Let's talk about what we can do with this stuff first. PCOA is discretionary. PCOA can be used for a lot of things. You know, when you're thinking about how you want to allocate the PCOA funds, think about things outside of your service. You know, if you needed to go into your C2 or your C1 pool, if you like, hey, I want to paint some walls, no, you can't use your C1 funds for that. You can use PCOA for that. So Keep that in mind. Senior center, again, we are no longer with that COVID, you was able to put senior center wherever you want, wherever you saw fit. Senior center fund can only be used in a congregate setting. So that's C1, it cannot be used in C2. It can be used in 3B with transportation involved into the senior center. Uh, yes. I think that's it. Huh?
And Title III, C1 on.
Yeah, and C1. C1 is the congregate musical, but no C2. Cause that's,
And not telephone either.
no.
You would be able to use your PCOA if you needed to supplement knowledge there. It has to be the congregate.
Yeah, congregate set. So when you're thinking about your budget and you're thinking about how you can allocate those senior center funds, think about those services that you offer when they're congregating together. Think about that when you're thinking about your senior center funds, as well as your supplemental senior center funds as well. Yes, ma'am.
Also, remember your senior center fund can be used to take care of costs to run your senior center. So if you're paying a light bill or something like that, insurance, whatever, you can use your senior center money for purposes of taking care of the senior.
What about person person? Because we said one time we use that. This is like, you said it's
He's cleaning the senior center, so you're using a portion of that.
Make
Maintenance
it-
on.
So you changed it to supplemental, it's the same thing?
Yes.
Yes. The supplementals apply the same way as your senior center.
Okay, your program income transfers, program income are derived from the Title III program, and they cannot be transferred where they're received it. Let me back up. Program income is income or contributions that you receive from your customers, your clients, within the service that they have need. So when you have your C2 meal, however often you have it, once a week, twice a week, once a month, whatever, any contributions from that will be in that particular program. And you can't say, well, I got 2,000 over here in C2, but I only got 200 over here in 3B. Let me move 1,000 of that, can't do that. So if you feeling like the contributions are a little low in your 3B services, you know, I don't know, maybe talk to your employees like, hey, let's see, we need to smile a little more or something to get these people to give us a little more money, you know. Whatever you need to do in-house, but, you know, don't solicit it, like, hey, I picked you up today on time. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that. But you may be like, hey, nice to see you again, Miss Ethel. Come on in. She's like, well, you know what? You was like 2 times this week. So you can do it like that. But again, you cannot move those funds in.
Do we have to get permission from our AAA to transfer the C1 to C2 funds?
You can't do it at all.
See, what this, what that.
And it's right there.
Run the meter.
Oh,
You have to get, you have to get permission to do that.
Okay.
Then C1 income can be transferred to 3B to pay for transportation of participants to meal.
So a waiver is just for transferring the program income from one program to another. So you just be transferring the program income so that you can use that fund, you got those funds in another program. Or use it within the program and to do a waiver, you may request it to either exceed services or if you know that you're not gonna meet whatever the criteria is. It's a little different for the COA because it's held at the AAA level, but in the case where it's a AAA, a single parish, I'll say it that way, a single parish council, if they're not going to meet or exceed, should I say, a particular service that's like there's a maximum in some of the areas. So if they exceed that, then they have to either ask for a waiver or we have to use local funds to supplement those services. I hope that makes sense.
Ms. Laura, what you just said.
Yeah.
So she was asking about if the transfer was the same as a waiver. It's not the same as a waiver. I was just letting her know the transfer, you're gonna use those funds, like if you do the transfer between C1 and C2, you're gonna use those funds to offset the cost of whatever program you're switching it to. A waiver is in a case where you may exceed the maximum um, or underserved with the minimum, and that usually occurs in 3E only. For the most part, it's usually in 3E. And that in that case, you would need to contact your program monitor in regards to having a waiver. Did I answer your question? Okay. And that's mainly for the single parish AAA's that usually applies to. But you would have to contact the program monitor for that, and the COAs, those that are under a multi, you would need to talk with your AAA.
All right, probably one of your most important documents in your budget is your cost allocation plan. Some people feel that doing their cost allocation plan first is beneficial for them. Some people feel like the worksheet one, doing that first is beneficial for them because the cost allocation and the worksheet one pretty much, or the worksheet two, have the same information. When doing your budget, make sure that your cost allocation plan as well as your worksheet mirror each other. So, starting with your line item expenditures, and budget amounts. You have your personnel, fringe, travel, operating services, operating supplies, other costs, capital outlay. Keeping in mind that, again, your categories, everything that you have up under that category, make that it is transferring over to your worksheet as well. We do look at that. The next slide. So we're getting to your direct and indirect costs. Your direct cost is a cost that's directly related to a particular program. So your transportation people may hit 3B, maybe 3B and C2. Your meals will be hitting C1 and C2. Your if you're doing something dealing with wellness, that's hitting 3D. So make sure that whatever line item that you have and whatever program is directed to, make sure that you're allocating their cost between those different programs. Indirect means it can affect anything. If it's a custodian who clean everything, he cleaning the senior center, he cleaning your office space, he ain't just got one thing that he's hitting on, then that's something that you could have in there. If you got a lot of local dollars and you want to bless your staff with uniforms, it's just best to indirect that with your local. We did have an instance, and I want to bring it up. We did have an instance where people were council allocated a small percentage indirect to a particular service. We got an explanation, which we'll get to the justification page a little further into the budget. That the reason why they put that direct percentage in there is because those particular uniforms went to that particular service spot. But they didn't use the actual money. They just saying, hey, we bought these for transportation drivers in 3D, so that's why we put that on there, but it's not what we use to pay the money. To determine what's direct or indirect, is the cost directly related to a program or providing a particular service, and it's the basis for allocating the obvious or easily established. If you're splitting between direct and indirect, keep in mind that that needs to be 100%. We look at that too. And I know, sometimes you manipulate your, not to manipulate, that's not a good word, but you use formulas to kind of help your budget flow, but keep in mind that formulas do mess up. So you may think that you have your direct and indirect at 100%, it gets to us, y'all at 110. I don't know how it happens, but it gets to us, y'all at 110. So keep in mind with, maybe a second set of eyes or whatever, making sure that those equal 100%. Direct to program. So when you are directly allocating a cost to a specific item, then you then have to show us where those direct costs are going. Like I said, if you do transportation drivers, most of the time they are 100% direct, but they may be 25% 3B and 75% 75% C2. Again, it's tailored to you all. There's no one end all be all on how y'all transportation drivers work. But when you're thinking about that, thinking about make sure that you're showing us, hey, this particular person is for consider people, direct, making sure that you're hitting the right program with that. And as well, making sure that once you break out those direct allocations, that it equals 100%. Again, we do look at that, and again, we do questions. So again, if you're using preset formulas, make sure that your formulas are tallying the proper percentages. Even giving a little leeway with decimals. Some people stop at 2, some people go all the way like a 3.14, whatever. Keep going. Direct to service. So must show percentage allocated to all services within the program. So if there's a driver, if you just put drivers on that under personnel, they're 100% direct. Then you go 25% 3B. I'm sorry. 25% 3B, 75% C2. Direct to service, you will show 25% transportation 3B and 75%. That is messing me up right now. 75% C2 meal driver. So that will go there. Again, you have to go a little bit more into the detail. I'm using something that I know off the top of my head with transportation. Basis used to allocate. So we love using that, calculated hours or the general thing that most people say. Whatever. Basis used to allocate. Please start putting in there your process of how you determine how you allocated those costs to each particular item. As y'all know, we're under a lot of some new changes, so we're looking a little more tight-lipped into your budget, and we're making sure that because we're coming off this COVID stuff, that we're making sure that you guys are really going back into allocating your money properly. Because that leeway is, and I'm so sorry, but that leeway is so much easier for us, but that little leeway is over. So on your basis to allocate, please make sure that you're actually putting there how you derive at your figures, percentages, and the actual amount. The worksheet. The cost allocation plan must be accurate and complete before completing the worksheet in other forms. Like I said, some people feel like that's the best way for them to start and then get the worksheet. Again, people feel like the worksheets are better, then they get the cost allocation plan. Either way it goes, they both go hand in hand. Again. If let me say this, we back up with the student. We are looking into, there was a time where whatever you enter into the cap copied over into the worksheet. Some way, somehow, don't know how to do what you need to do. So that has been my task of making sure that with the cost allocation plan, that whatever you enter copies over to the worksheet. Again though, it's manual stuff, so go back and make sure that it's allocated properly. That is something that we will have on the website, hopefully before revised budget goes out. But again, I can't stress this enough, because that's one of our main issues is your cap not matching your worksheet. So, and not just percentages, amounts as well. Making sure that if you're saying that you have this percent, that amount is really that percent. So this is what the worksheet one, part one looks like, where it is your, percentage allocation, a little more expanded than what your cap will look like. So again, you have the line item, the amount, direct, indirect, whatever program that is hitting, and there's a list of those. Let me say this too, and I'll reiterate it again when we get the full resources. There was a lot of questions about how to allocate or show ARP in your budget. When you're thinking about your budget, these are more service related, this is more funding related. See what I'm saying? So if you put, wait, I got that back. These are more service related, these are more funding related. Okay, these are more funding related. Flip what I just said. So, right, that's right. These are more service related. So, ARP is a source of funding. It's not a service. So, I do.
Too much left.
So if when you show your ARP, your pool of resources, it's gonna go in a column. Some people are trying to put the ARP, will saying, oh, I can put a percentage of what my ARP funds are gonna be on this worksheet. You don't have to do that, because you're already showing that in your pool. So you don't necessarily have to, I know there was some confusion back and forth. We covered this right before we came here. You don't necessarily have to add a column up here showing, well, of this particular, whatever this, travel for transportation, ARP, we put in, that's already included. So, well, they're already included, am I making sense? If I'm not, let me know.
Okay, I'm sorry,
Uh-huh.
I'm probably stupid. So instead of putting like 3D, 3E, and then having another column for ARP, you're saying don't do that?
No, it'll be included in this amount. It should be included whatever your annual budget amount.
Whether it's in just one salary or whatever, well, I'm just saying salary, it's not, like you said, travel. You will see
Yeah.
travel, you're not gonna see it identified there either though.
It's just gonna be
Because it'll
part
be
of the
identified in
3D.
your pool. So it's a funding source. It's not necessarily an actual service program. Yes, it's broken apart on your pooling page on based off your contract. But you don't have to show it throughout the budget broken out. If that makes sense. Right, we'll get to that. But on the budget, oh, y'all here?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ebony, if you don't show something on worksheet one, it's not gonna balance.
If you don't come on the.
I mean, if you're saying put it in salaries, I mean, in that column,
Mm-hmm.
okay, but if you don't show it as something, somewhere, maybe down in direct or whatever, you won't have that amount in your budget.
So.
It's gonna be the program that it's in. So you don't have to go, like, let's say you using all your 3B art money. You're putting your 3B art money in transportation. You're not, normally, well, some people, what they were doing was, they would have transportation, the amount, direct, indirect, and then over here, they would put art and put 100%. But if it's already included, you're gonna take whatever percentage of that allocation for 3B art transportation with the Title III ARC transportation and put it right here.
So
Under
you're
3D.
just saying,
So put
put
3D
all
or
your
3D.
expenses of their under salary or whatever, and then allocate it all
Right.
the food.
Including everything.
Okay, I think I see what you're saying.
You sure?
Yeah, I think I am, because, okay, if you put that in salaries, but you're still having to allocate it, actually, where you're gonna put it before you do it. See what I'm saying? Okay, what I'm saying is, okay, let me think about this just a minute.
All the funding is on, all the funding is in
Yeah.
3D.
Right,
On the cooling page, you're gonna separate out.
right,
Mhm.
right, but you've got to figure out how much you're gonna have in salaries, how much you're gonna have in all these other expenses, the way you're talking.
Not on the cooling.
No, no, you put it.
She's talking about
Right.
It doesn't matter, 'cause it's all 3D transportation. So if it falls under 3D under ARP, and it falls under 3D under like, it was 3D under transportation.
In Title III.
In Title III, you're gonna put it together, so it's gonna allocate itself. You're not gonna separate it out, it's gonna be all together.
Essentially, being
On your title,
Yeah.
on your road columns, on your road titles, are the only things that should be your column titles across the worksheet. Pulling page, road column names
Right,
are the only things you should have as a column name on your worksheets.
right.
Think about it as funding versus services. ARP is not a service. ARP is extra funding to get for you to provide extra services. So when I'm saying that you don't have to add a column for ARP percentages is because once you show us on the pooling, hey, for ARP, we are contracted with this, those totals, it should still tie back to the worksheet one. And your percentages are still gonna tie back to your pooling page, your percentages as well.
Okay, I got
Because you're kind of for your financial report, you separate it, because we have to report it separated.
Isn't that the way PCOA is? Because PCOA is not a service, it goes into one of these categories. Whether it's transportation, meals.
It does.
PCO should not be on your column.
Because it's over
No.
there.
It is. But, okay, let me,
Nobody reads.
I knew I was going to do this.
So,
When you're thinking about PCOA, senior center, those things, yes, you are allocating those direct, indirect, whatever. However, with ARP, because it's an extension, is why you don't necessarily have to show a whole nother set of Title III, ARP, B, C, D. You can all group them together. Still not ringing?
You're still keeping track of whether it's ARP or if it's
Right.
regular Title III on your,
Right.
in your supplemental.
I use my PCOA to supplement, say, Concord Meals or Home Baker, and I stick it in 3B.
Yeah.
Why would it have a column there when I put it into 3B? I'll make a salary.
So when you do yours, when you show us on your pooling of resources, you're telling us where you're putting your PCOA dollars. It's going into your 3B. So you won't have to put it, you don't have to put it in there.
Okay.
You don't have to put it on there because you're telling us where you're putting your, where you're putting your PCOA dollars.
So if you don't have a PCOA column title, then on that financial that says, PCOA discretionary, expenses, you wouldn't have anything in there.
Right.
But because you have the discretionary expenses on your financial, that, anything that you have into that, row on your financial would be what would be, you're allocating on your worksheet. Does that make sense?
They need even more money. The good news is we ain't gonna have ARP be getting no more next year anyway.
On that note, just make sure you just put in your
Okay, but so if it's not clear, again, like I said, we will be here from 4 to 5. If you need to elaborate even more or help unmuddy your mind, we'll be here in this room from 4 to 5. And then I'll run it back again tomorrow. So you can come back or see somebody else back in here. Um, you're free to come back. Part 2 is the amount. Again, like I said with the worksheet, there are formulas there that should calculate these amounts based on the percentages that you put in on the worksheet 1, part 1. Again, there's a due diligence. Make sure that these amounts are being pulled correctly. If not, it'll mess up the total, mess up everything, and then you're gonna get Denise and Robin and Chris will send you a lovely letter with 50 million items on there. You're gonna be like, who wants to look at this? So, or you get a nice little ring phone call. Hey, you know, your stuff is out of line. So definitely make sure that your formulas are calculated properly with your worksheet. Oh. The worksheet 1, part 2 distributes the direct and indirect costs by program. No interest required, which again is talking about the formulas. So make sure that your formulas are fully correct. If you don't learn anything else from this training, make sure that your formulas are put in correctly and that percentage is equal to 100. Okay. Then you also have this lovely 2 columns over here that will let you know if something is off. If they don't say okay, then that means that something did not compute properly or something was off. Yes, that's a rounding thing. If you do see a 1, that is a rounding thing. I know some people throw the 1 fictitious in there, whatever, we know what that is, because whoever made the original worksheet that I found out, somehow it wouldn't calculate around some stuff with some pennies. So that if you do see a 1, that's okay. Now, if you don't see a okay or a 1, you might want to go back and see where you went wrong or what didn't copy over. Worksheet 2 mirror your worksheet 1, but they are by program. So everything that you have in there for on your worksheet 1 that's under 3B related will hit your worksheet 2, 3B, and so on and so forth. Another checkpoint with that, if you having everything tied together, make sure that it's copying over properly because we do look at that as well. So if your worksheet 1 is not matching your worksheet 2, again, it's probably page 3 of your correction list. So that means we had to add some more things prior to that. So the worksheet 2 allocates costs by service within the program. Line item expenditures and annual direct amount are brought over from the worksheet 1. You must allocate direct costs by service. Allocations must agree with the directed service allocation on the cost allocation plan, which is why I said in the beginning, your cost allocation is your most important document of your budget. Zero check columns must be 0. If there is something other than a 0, make sure all amounts have been allocated within the worksheet. So that column is going to help you understand if something copied over or calculated over properly or if it did not. If it did not, go back and see where the disconnect happened. All right, the lovely front page. Our favorite part, second favorite part of this budget. The main thing that I do want to emphasize with this It has to be signed by your board person, signed and dated. But this little lovely date right here,
This right here, y'all.
it
Right here.
has to match the day that your budget was approved.
Well, we
With-
sign it if we authorize, right?
It says, chairman of the board. But down here, your board person signs it. This lovely date right here is the date that your board approved the budget, which is normally on the resolution.
I love all y'all with my heart, but don't change nothing at the topic is right. We can say change the date to change the date.
Right, if we contact you and we say, hey, your board resolution says 4/16, but your front page says 5/21, we have to send it back to you and say, please correct this
We're
date.
not talking about this date, we talking about the one
This
right
is the
here.
one.
Not this date, this one
Yeah, 'cause
right.
this date, if they did meet on the 16th, but for whatever reason your board person left and came back and didn't to sign it, that date don't matter. But this date right here, that date is very important. So, yes. The top part, it is self-explanatory, your contract name, federal tax ID number, state, employment security tax number, your contract period, whether it's a new budget, revision, if you revise your budget, indicate that. The date it becomes effective, add that. This total cost of budget by program. So this is our third favorite part of this, because this is total cost of budget by program, which will also be reflected off your pooling of resource page. So when you're making sure that you have everything for this, you're going to take that last column, budget totals, because again, your pooling is shown by services. Those amounts will be right here. So if your auditor sends you a lovely email, letter, phone call, maybe everything else is perfect for this page, and I wanna go ahead and pass it to Ebony because she gotta do her due diligence. Yes,
I
ma'am.
have a question, because I know I'm going back on this, it says signed by the board president, okay, but this will eventually change after this contract is done to a new board president. That person might not be president that budget year.
Whoever, if not the president, then it's the vice president. So if you don't have a president, you should have at least a vice president.
Yeah,
But if it changes, it doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
If it changes in the fiscal year, it doesn't matter. Whoever was in office at that time,
Yeah.
signed the
So
budget.
even,
By the time
even if the board resolution says they authorize an executive director
Mhm.
to sign a contract.
So.
Contract is, but this.
No, that's the contract.
I think it says contract comma budget.
Ours does too.
Yeah, contract
So-
slash budget.
I would, so when you submit your
sign it?
budget, when you submit your budget, submit that,
The resolution.
the resolution should say that and designate that, and then we go from there.
But again, that contracting don't negate this date right here, because they still have to meet to approve this budget. So even if you do have the appointed person to sign, they still have to meet to approve this, and whatever date they meet, we need that right there. So again, with this right here, that budget total page on your, pool and resource page, that's where these numbers come from. So if they emailing you saying, hey, if they say your front page don't match your pool and resources, that's what they're talking about.
So when we do a revision, you want the revision,
Yeah, so they should be meeting to approve your original and your revised. Board resolution. Everybody should have one. Again, they say the original or revised budget with the effective date of whatever, held on, this is what we look at right here. It was held on September 2023. That date on the front page, go back, should be right here. September 2023. Sometimes that be the only hold up with getting your budget approved. So, yeah, don't put a formula in there line. It's not gonna work. Oh, okay. Yeah. Just make sure everything on this page is right. Pulling page. So again, this right here is what we tie to your front page. All right. So right here you have your programs, support services, hungry meals, home delivered, health, caregiver, ombudsman, senior center. We don't do audit no more, so just don't pretend like it's not there. Other non-totals. So here is your GOEA contract amount. So with this too, we have situations where your contract amount that you put on here do not match what we have here. Now, if an amended contract go out and you say, we got this, cool, we'll verify and we all good. If it's all the way off, so make sure that you are inputting your proper contract amount here. Program income, allocate that as you fit. NSIP, we compare that against contract. So you may get a lovely email from one of your auditors saying, hey, your NSIP amount on here don't match your contract. Please review and correct. Again, there's a situation where you said, hey, we got an amendment, which normally we would know, but in case we don't know, just shoot them the amended paper saying, hey, this person got additional fund. If it ties back, you let it go. PCOA, again, it's discretionary. So if you are allocating funds in between any of these services, it'll show in this column right here. But this column down here should equal your total PCOA amount. If it's not, you're gonna be like, wait a minute, something's not right. You got some money, or you owe us some money because you got extra PCOA money. Supplemental senior center. Some of y'all combine that with your regular senior center. Some of y'all separate it out. If we can, I don't care about that. So you include all of it in one. Just make sure that your totals match out. And if it don't, like I said, it'll be in your lovely 13-page letter. All this your local money, whatever. Transfers, we are going back and looking into those. Again, with COVID, y'all was able to move money all up and through here. But we make sure any transfers that you show in this column are allowable transfers. If it's not, it'll be part of your 4-page letter. From your auditor saying, hey, you have a transfer from 3E to 3B that is not allowed. Please review your budget and make those corrections. Your totals down here and your totals over here should equal. Meaning that GOEA contract, all this totaled up should be right here. We do check totals to make sure that, we ain't missing nothing or something's over allocated. Same over here. Again, these lovely numbers over here will be your your front page amount.
I have a quick question on that. I'm sorry. And mostly we ran into it with ARP. End of 2023, we had, let's say, an extra 1,000 in 3D that we had not spent yet. We know we're gonna spend it this year. So our funding on the budget totals for the expenses were gonna be 1,000 less than what we had in our pooling of resources. And I know that's probably gonna happen in this next year with the, for year in 2024, things you spent 2023.
Well, the thing with ARP is cumulative.
Right,
So even though you had that $1,000 that you didn't spend for the previous year,
right,
it should be shown in your carry forward amount. So if
Right.
whoever your, auditor is, looking at your pooling page and say, okay, this contract is off, then she'll go back and compare whatever your, carryover amount was, and
Right.
make sure that those match.
okay, so what confused me, so that we just would not include that carryover in
Yes.
our sources of funding for this year?
Yes, you will.
Okay, you will, so at the end of the page, you get to the end of, 3B, or 3D, I'm sorry. We have an extra 1,000 in our resources that's not gonna match that worksheet one, that's not gonna match that front
But if
page.
you're planning to spend it, you're budgeting,
Right.
so is it budgeted to spend?
In 2024, this is this is when we were into more in 2023, which said it's cumulative. So we probably have some of the opposite, money got spent in 2023, but the funding shows up in 2024.
So,
I think that's where I'm getting confused, because we've got this like 3-year thing and they're not all matching. So I know we had a lot of trouble with 2023.
so with 24,
Mhm.
the goal is to have that ARP money
Totally spent, yeah.
totally spent.
We will.
So if you put it in the total that you received for the year,
Uh-huh.
plus all your carry forward amount from the past two
Okay, so
previous
that's what you're
years.
gonna do.
Right.
So-
And then, once you do your budget, you should be able to show or put those expenditures to where you would have that $1,000 lingering over, unless you don't have enough expenditure to allocate for
Right.
all of that, which means you have to pay it back.
Right. Right, I think, like I said, I think where we went into more problems in either 2023, because we did have money left over.
Mhm.
And so when we got to the end, our pooling of resources showed, we received 2,000 for 3D, but we only spent 1,000.
Mhm.
So nothing matched anything.
So all this should
Yeah.
come full circle with this
Yeah,
fiscal
with
year.
this year, okay, so that's just
Because-
gonna ride out, because I know that came up in our letter.
Mhm.
Hey, this doesn't match this, I'm like, but it will never match that because we got this funding that we can't spend till this year.
And the thing with the pooling page for this past fiscal year 23
Uh-huh,
was a lot of people either because of that payment that was received in July,
right,
some people included it in their 23 as we gonna get it anyway, and then some people did not.
right,
So it threw off the carryover amounts with the pooling page.
got it,
So as long as if the issue arises and you and your auditor,
Mhm.
along with my help and the help of others can determine, okay, hey, this is really what they have, or no, this is really what they not have, then all will be well.
got it, okay. I know, end of this year, this is all gonna be gone, but
Yeah.
just want to make sure I'm doing it right.
Okay, in time, y'all know what this is. The main thing with this page is we compare this page to your exhibit 1. So anything that you throw on this page, you need to make sure that you include it in your exhibit 1 under the respective service. Yes, ma'am. You rolling. Capital outlay, this page is important as well. Make sure you include equipment, renovation, check for allocation, for the proper calculation, and that if you have capital outlay here, it should be on your worksheet 1 as well. Program budget category summary, this is what's pulled from your worksheet sub, because your worksheet 1 and worksheet 2 should match. So that means that this should match your worksheet 1 and worksheet 2. We compare that, so if they say, hey, this is not right, that means something, if you have calculations here that's linked, something pull over, go back and see where it went wrong, or manually correct this in the back.
I do all the services, like nutrition education C1, nutrition education C2. I don't even go all the way across with all the different services. I can just put it all on the final deal.
Yeah.
budget is different.
Oh,
Your budget is different.
Okay.
this is just AAA, huh?
Yes.
I should see it here, huh?
On this page is very important. Anything that you put in capital outlay, any outstanding or you know, there's something that's like, hey, it's a little different, or hey, like I said, with uniforms, you technically can't use your Title III money for uniforms, but you're like, hey, we got local money, but on my budget, it shows that I used the funds for that, but I really didn't. But I just showed that, hey, I bought uniforms for my transportation drivers in 3B and C1, and C2, or I wanted my cooks in the kitchen to look uniform, so we bought uniforms. And so it's direct to this program, but I use local money to buy the uniforms. You would put all of that up in here. Any renovations, that's just, you know, like, hey, we decided to buy a whole other building, and we're gonna throw PCOA money in there, you know, whatever, put that there. Okay? Right here, if you are having a service that you get a subcontractor for, indicate that here on this page in X. Yeah. Exhibit 1, expenditures, these should go along with your worksheet 2. Because on your worksheet 2, there's a breakout per service of where the money went to where. So on your 3B, so we compare these against your worksheet 2, all 3B services, all C1, C2, expenditures to be here, total, any local money, your cost, in kind, we look at that too. We compare that to your in kind page. This is the second page of the exhibit 1. This is mostly 3E stuff. So again, we compare this against your Title 3E worksheet too. Exhibit 2, you send this to HPB, also send it to us as well. So make sure that this and the exhibit 1, they're all, y'all see now all of these pages tied in together. Oh, yeah. But the checklist, the main thing with this is we compare these, your priority service amounts against your schedule of funding. So make sure, before transfers, so make sure that these amounts match your schedule of funding and your percentages, and you're following within your priority service requirements. So that's the main thing with it, all in your approval date of your budget. Huh? Yeah, except for legal. Legal's off there. So again, these are your priority services. Access, in-home, those are mainly 3B services. 3E, respite services and supplemental services, material aid, personal care, civil service, chores, home repair, modification. When you turn in your budget to us, this is what we check to make sure that we have. So we use it as a checklist to make sure that you send everything to us. When the auditor does put in their review, they will send you an email and say, hey, you don't have this paid. So just use this as a checklist of what you need to make sure you send to us regarding your budget. And if you have any questions, to contact your assigned program auditor, but when emailing your budget, you can email it to the GOEA budget email, but it would be nice to include your program auditor as well. They don't. So if you say, hey, they say, hey, I don't have it, or you do whatever, you say, oh, I put it in here, just kind of CC them this too, just in case they don't get a chance to get the email. All right? Any other questions? Excuse me, everyone. I know we have a lot of COAs that's in here.
This is not the budget package that you submit to us, so we will have those budgets, we will send those to you. But I hope this was helpful for you in preparing your budget, so yours is is not as, detailed, because you all answer to the AAA, but we'll get those, worksheets to you guys, all right?
Hope the next trip here, that just, for AAA also.
So it'll cover what you all have. The PCOA report, I mean, y'all do the title.
Like,